behalf of the board, I welcome all members of the audience to this afternoon's meeting. This meeting is a working session of the board to conduct the business of the district. The agenda for today's meeting has been published, and the agenda items to be discussed and or voted on have been studied by board members. I'll introduce the people here on the dais with me. To my far left is Administrative Assistant Vanessa Blake, visiting us today. Recording Secretary Cindy Benson, Superintendent Larry Francois, board members Amy Cast, Sandy Hayes, Dawn McCravey, and Kimberly D'Angelo. I'm Janet Quinn, and I currently serve as president of the board. Agendas for this meeting, as well as minutes from our previous meeting, are available at the table on the back. If you are here to address the board on agenda items, please sign in on the clipboard that's on the table with the agendas, and you'll have an opportunity near the beginning of the meeting for your comments. Lydia, would you be so kind as to introduce the representatives we have with us tonight from Piper Jaffray and K&L Gates? They've been kind enough to join us this evening in answering questions that board members might have.
Thank you for the opportunity to introduce our three key members of our bond sale team. And yes, they're here tonight to answer questions on the bond sale resolution, which is item number 16. Also, if you're so willing, I'd like to have them make a few comments before we address the issue when we get to number 16. So Piper Jaffray is our bond underwriter. They'll arrange and conduct the sale and present the purchase and sale agreement to the district. Today we have Dick Schober, who's the managing director, to answer questions regarding the bond sale, as well as Ryan Swanson, who is the vice president of Piper Jaffray. Together they have 45 years combined experience in public finance. Also have Cynthia Weed of K&L Gates, and she's our bond counsel to ensure that our documents and filings are in accordance with IRS and other legal mandates. Ms. Weed is a partner at K&L Gates with a specialty in structured financing and leasing, and she has over 30 years experience with universities, cities, towns, and school districts in the Pacific Northwest.
Thank you, Lydia. So our first order of business following that is the superintendent's report.
Good afternoon and welcome everyone. On April 30th, I had the opportunity along with President Quinn and Ryan Fujiwara and Doug Wilson to be joined by Katrina Rose and Mitch Evans from the EDTF subcommittee that's been working on the boundary adjustment plan. And we met with officials from the city of Kenmore, including the city manager, the assistant city manager, the mayor, and another council member to update them on the EDTF's continued work around the boundary adjustment plan and its impact on Kenmore schools and communities. From my perspective, it was another very positive meeting, and I believe that most of the initial concerns that they have been satisfactorily addressed by the EDTF subcommittee. In that their final draft recommendation will be coming to the board on May 26th. And I just continue to appreciate the city's positive engagement with this process, both their advocacy for the Kenmore community and schools, as well as their broader understanding and appreciation of the larger challenges and objectives we're trying to achieve across our district. So it's just been very, very pleasant to work with them. Following that meeting on April 30th, President Quinn and I participated in a WASDA conference call with representatives from the Senate Health Committee and Senator Murray's office to discuss the Senate's bipartisan ESEA authorization language or reauthorization language. I truly believe that this bill would be a vast improvement over the current ESEA No Child Left Behind iteration. It addresses many of the major problems with No Child Left Behind. It shifts a great deal of accountability and policy back to the state level. Unfortunately, it still appears that it'll be an uphill climb to get the House to take up this legislation this year. On May 3rd through 5th, I attended the annual WASA Superintendent Conference. It's always a great opportunity to connect and catch up with colleagues from across the state. We received similar updates on federal and state legislative and budget processes, which was a bit discouraging to say the least. But we also had a great presentation from Dr. John Draper, who's a consultant who works with the National School Public Relations Association on what school systems should be doing better to counter some of the undeserved and misunderstood negative perceptions about the state of public education. So it was just a really powerful session, and I hope to be able to do some follow-up work with Dr. Draper. On May 7th, we hosted our final ATM meeting of the year. It seems hard to believe that it seemed like we just had our first one, and now we're having our last one of the year. Some of the topics we discussed were the North Shore Primary Center and kindergarten assignments for next year, update on the boundary adjustment process, update on the Start Time Task Force, planning for our August advance, year 3 of our North Shore Leadership Program, and then a legislative budget update or lack thereof. It was a very brief presentation. On May 14th, so Thursday of this week, we will be hosting King County Executive Dow Constantine in North Shore. So Mr. Constantine has made a commitment to visit all school districts in King County to better understand our challenges and opportunities for greater collaboration between the school systems in the county. And you may be aware that Mr. Constantine recently announced his Best Starts for Kids plan that focuses on early interventions in healthy communities to get children on a positive path by age 5. And during the special session, since many of the legislators are spending more time back in district than in Olympia, Director Hayes and I are attempting to connect with some of our key budget and education policy legislators to see if we can get together with them. So we have meetings with Representative Stanford this Friday at 2 p.m., Senator McAuliffe on May 21st at 8 a.m. I believe that's a Tuesday. Thursday, excuse me, and Representative Springer on May 28th at 2 p.m. We're still working on Senators Hill and Paulette. So I would say if any other board members wish to join any of us for those meetings, I would welcome your participation. I've received several positive responses to the message I sent to our legislators last week about levy and compensation reform, state assessments, and the adoption of a 2015 to 17 operating budget. So it's nice to know that they're taking time to read and respond to things that are being sent to them.
Thank you, Larry. The North Shore School District Board of Directors has set aside a period of up to 60 minutes to receive updates and comments from association leaders and citizens from our community. The board expects speakers to address matters related to district operations, policies, procedures, and agenda items under consideration by the board. Comments should not make reference to any employee or representative from the district by name. If interested, there is a complaint process available through the Office of the Superintendent. Please note that because of the public governance process, the board may ask clarifying questions regarding topics not on the meeting's agenda, but will likely defer discussion to a future meeting if warranted, in order for staff to prepare any necessary background information for board members to review and for the discussion item to be included on a published agenda for the benefit of anyone else who might be interested. Alternatively, a district employee or board member may respond to individuals offering public comment at a later date if warranted to do so. When addressing the board, please state your name clearly for our records. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. There is a timer that will sound when your time has expired. And if you could wrap up your comments then, that would be appreciated. And we really appreciate you being here tonight and your participation in the governance process. So we'll start with association leaders, and I see NSD leader up. Go ahead, Tim. You're standing, so. All right, Tim Bertel.
Thank you. I'm Tim Bertel. I'm the president of the North Shore Education Association. As you know, on May 6th, we had a walkout. 1,300 to 1,400 people participated in our rally and our walkout. Very good turnout. Our parental support was off the charts. It was wonderful to see the number of parents that brought coffee, food, but more importantly, their encouragement and their support out to us. You will find today that as I stand before you, 45 locals have now taken votes to do a one-day walkout, and the number continues to grow. We've also crossed the great divide of the Cascade Mountains with Wenatchee, Kennewick, Pasco, Richland joining in the walkouts. We wish we had not had to do this. We wish there was not a special session in play right now. In the special session, you'll hear talk of a levy swap. It's nothing more than a levy swipe, nothing more. To say that they are going to take local school districts' money that have been passed through our levy and bond votes, to call that full funding for basic education is nothing more than a shell game that they played with us last time when we passed Initiative 728. A levy swap is no progress at all, and I don't think it will meet the mustard of the Supreme Court either. Today, you will hear a number of representatives from NSD talking to you. They're currently engaged in collective bargaining with the district. I encourage you to help move NSD's salary into the 21st century. The salary model for NSD was created at a time when most NSD employees were the women who were looking for a second job. That is not the case anymore. This is a primary job. They look for second and third jobs to support them on the salary that they currently make. The numbers we're talking about are the same numbers that the state put forth in their testimony during the McCleary lawsuit. They're seeking a comparable market value for their work. To attain this, the best way to do it would be to increase their hours and their benefits. As you probably know, a vast number of NSD employees are held to a 4-hour minimum. That keeps them from attaining any health benefits. It also keeps them from attaining a livable wage. So I encourage you to fix the NSD problem, increase their hours, make it so that they can get benefits, and improve our pool of employees in NSD. Not improve them, but increase them. We want to keep attracting more and more quality employees to be the classified workers who support the important work of the certificated staff in the North Shore School District. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Hi. I said I was going to maybe talk a little bit longer, but I'm not going to read all of these for you tonight. There are members' comments. Anyway, my name is Jeannie Schwenk. I'm the NSD president. I work at Woodville High School as a sign language interpreter. The NSD membership is 450 strong, over 450 strong, and includes the educational support professionals working in positions such as special education paraeducators, ELL tutors, lab title specialists, school assistants, nurses, interpreters, school technology assistants, campus supervisors, and a host of others. This afternoon, you will hear from some of these hard-working members who directly assist students every day and whose expertise is critical in supporting the classroom. They'll be talking about pay and hours. Let me say that they are highly skilled, but their value and professionalism are not reflected in how they are compensated, and many, almost half, are employed in jobs consisting of an inadequate 20 hours per week or less. Many of these employees have degrees, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, teaching certificates, and they are proficient in higher ed level subjects and assist NSD students in subjects like math, social studies, English, science, technology classes, and some of them are skilled in dual languages. The ELL tutors' responsibilities include specialized work and utilize a professional level of education, assisting in curriculum modification, academic instruction to non-English speakers, correcting papers, implementing standardized tests, and much more. Working only 4 hours each day leaves no time for them to sufficiently prepare for the work they take so seriously. Some even need to split their time and are limited to 10 hours at 2 schools. They often need to work longer than they are scheduled for to get the work done. This is not due to a lack of time management, rather it is due to the daily demands of their classroom. The Learning Center paras find themselves in the same position, many limited to 20 hours per week, working with some of our most vulnerable students, spread too thin, needing to assist too many students in too many of their academic classes. Students taught with the right level of care and expertise can be employed making the next airplane we fly in. They could be making the next car we drive off the lot, the next wonderful meal we enjoy with our loved ones, working in the next emergency room we find ourselves in, and becoming the next teacher or paraeducator our children and grandchildren will experience in the classroom. Paraeducators in the special education classroom are skilled in knowing how to work with autistic students of many levels. They work with the behavioral, social, emotional population of students. They can be hit, bit, have their hair pulled, things thrown at them, risking injury to themselves. Yet they are skilled in managing the classroom, developing the social skills of the students, and bringing education to them. Other paras must do toileting, diapering, tube feeding, catheterization. They are exposed to bodily fluids, and they must lift students up to high school age, onto tables, into chairs, risking injury to themselves. And still they manage to get those students out to the classroom, instruct them, modify lessons, accommodate for testing, and maintain a safe environment for staff and students. These NSDB members, these North Shore School District employees, do all this and much, much more. They love their jobs and value the impact they make on students every single day. However, they do not feel they are paid fairly and in many cases do not receive benefits due to the 20-hour per week cap. And this with the critical consequence of not having enough hours to adequately work with our students. This is not working for our classrooms, for our teachers, or for our students. The employees we're talking about can be a single mother working full-time with the North Shore School District, but still not make a living wage. Instead, she is living at poverty level, getting food stamps, working another or sometimes 2 other jobs just to get by. The employees we are talking about sometimes need to move out of the North Shore area because housing here is out of their financial range. Sometimes they are divorced and become primary or sole wage earners whose family depends on them for living and medical benefits, and they are sending their children to college. Basically, in today's economy, the money they earn is essential to the household. Some NSDB staff have told me they will need to leave the jobs they love for better pay, health benefits, and job security. My colleagues working in educational support personnel roles consider themselves to be career professionals. Some have devoted 15, 17, 20, 25 years and longer at the district. The career counselor at high school uses a chart that shows yearly incomes with a high school degree versus a college degree. It shows a person with a high school degree making only $33,000 annually. One employee who has been at NSD for 30 years at the top of the pay scale, now for 15 years, is still making less than $25,000. This reflects little or no pay increases between steps or they're topped out and with no COLA for years. This seems disrespectful to me, undervalues, and takes advantage of the women and men who care for the students in this district. It is time to throw out the old model that the job of support professional is just a job to make a little extra coffee money. These NSD employees are skilled educational professionals who are not paid a fair wage for the work they do. And it's not just them that feel this way about their pay and hours. Teachers and parents feel these conditions need to improve for our essential classified staff. Just today I talked with a retired teacher. She's 86 years old, started teaching in the mid-50s. She could be your grandmother. And she wanted me to tell you she wholeheartedly agrees with educational support personnel need to be paid better.
Jean, we would love to read the rest of your comments if you would please leave them with Cindy.
I am just
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time and all that you do.
Thank you, Jean. Any other associations that, Sherry?
Hi, I'm Sherry Rudolph, the North Shore PTSA Council president. I actually am the only president now. Unfortunately, Brenda did resign due to personal and health issues, so no longer co-president and the president. I didn't know if I had told all of you that. Yes, well, she's her way. She did have surgery last Monday, so she's recuperating. Hopefully, this is a time of year when we have new PTA board's executive committees voted into place. The deadline was April 30th, so it's a very exciting transition time. Last Thursday, very exciting, Cheryl Wilkins, she's another PTA board member at Woodinville High. She's partnered with me on several, Not in My Backyard, and our social media speaker that we brought in. Vicki invited us to come see Charles Leach. He was the alternate, the sophomore junior option for the DUI assembly that they always hold before prom. So we didn't get to see the drama kids all dressed in the blood and the gore and the cars that are wrecked. but I did have wonderful weather out on the field. We got to see a really great social media speaker, and then my daughter is on ASB, and we got some immediate feedback. So really good time to kind of talk about more ways that PTA can partner with the high schools and as well as the others, the secondary and junior high together and elementary. That ways that we could really help kind of trifold, is kind of not one time only, more of a year-long presence about social media etiquette and really, hitting kids at different times, because you're not really sure when they need to hear it. Because you talk to one kid and you're like, oh, that was dumb. Talk to another kid, oh, that was awesome. So as we found in the fall and, in the spring. So just really got some great ideas, and, John and Vicki were so excited to hear our feedback, and Kristen. So it was very great. Also met with Carrie today. Friday is the deadline for Washington State issues to be presented for the 2015-16 Legislative Assembly. So Carrie actually is presenting an issue. It is on foster children opportunities and how we can increase the opportunities that they have and try to keep them from being part of that achievement gap. So very excited for her she's excited to do that. And then she and I met with, actually, we're hoping to come up with our own local top 5. So we feel like there are a lot of issues in our district. And so as we keep meeting and talking about those, we had talked about school discipline, and we have a lot of great ideas. And in fact, Eileen just gave us some more good ideas. So I'm meeting with Kimberly this week, and I'll share everything we come up with. And Kimberly will be able to pass that on. We do have a wonderful webinar coming up. A speaker at our state convention was Dr. Steve Constantino, and he has a webinar tomorrow at 10 a.m. and I can send you all the link. I'll email it to you. I know some probably pieces of paper might get lost, so I'll email it to you tonight. And thanks again for hearing me and all that you do.
Thank you,
Sherry? I'd like to see Carrie's submission on foster children.
I'll pass it on
If
to
she
you.
could send that to me, thank you.
Well, I have it too.
Oh, do you? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Sherry. I don't see any other associations. No? Oh, yes, sorry. Carmen.
Sorry.
You slipped in.
Hello, my name is Carmen. I'm representing the North Shore Schools Foundation, and I want to say hi. Thank you so very much for everything you do. I wanted to say thank you to Superintendent Francois and Director President Janet Quinn, who came and spoke with 50 of my colleagues from across the state, representing schools, foundations all across the state, who came, unfortunately, on Wednesday, but did come on Wednesday, to kind of work together to network to see what we can do system-wide for schools funding, and it's really a fun place to be. It's fun. It's the most collaborative environment I've ever been part of, and it was really wonderful to have the representation, so thank you very much. And I also wanted to tell you that we received our classroom grant applications. We received over 60 from 27 schools, and we say schools because now we're including adult transition program, we're including Sorensen, we're including SAS and networks. All of those are programs, I guess, but we use them in school. So we're very excited. We are looking for a windfall of an additional $40,000 to fully fund them. So if you see anyone with an extra $40,000, we appreciate it, and we will move it directly to these grants. So thank you so much, and we'll keep you informed with how that process goes.
Thank you, Carmen. All right, we will move on to citizens' comments, and we'll start with Craig Peck.
Thank you. I'm Craig Peck, staff person for NESPA and for NSEA. The last time I spoke, I addressed the district's 20-hour lid on almost half of NESPA's members, a lid that denies them an adequate income and denies them benefits. Today I'll address the hourly rate of pay. What is fair pay? Fair pay cannot be determined simply by comparing what North Shore pays with other school districts. What that does is to reproduce whatever inequities exist in K-12 employment. When McDonald's said that it was paying a fair wage because other fast food restaurants paid the same, the public in many cities and states rejected that. They passed laws requiring higher pay. The Compensation Technical Work Group rejected that methodology as well. They decided that comparing underpaid employees from one district to the next didn't help them decide what fair pay was. It would simply reproduce inequities. As Sean Lewis from OSPI stated in the document we provided you, quote, "The work group concluded that using Washington K-12 salary data would perpetuate the condition of gender-biased lower salary levels for certain positions, such as paraeducators, office support, and beginning teachers." In other words, inequities exist and we need to figure out how to pay people fairly instead of claiming that the pay is fair if it's about the same as what other school districts pay. So the school officials, OSPI reps, and HR professionals examined the particular level of knowledge, skills, abilities, and similar work contexts throughout the market, not just in K-12. And what they found is that substantial increases were needed for NSPA-like positions, paraeducators, school assistant, and nurses, about $6 per hour above the current North Shore rates. Its recommendations provide the floor for what can be considered fair pay. If you haven't read the report, we hope you do. The decisions you make about how to treat your employees are amongst the most significant ones made by the school board. If you have not yet compared NSPA pay rates with the pay rates of other groups in the district and how they stack up to the Compensation Technical Work Group's recommendations, we encourage you to do so. All of the other groups are much closer to their recommendations. Some groups exceed those recommendations, which is fine. Their statewide recommendations don't reflect the high cost of living in the Seattle area. North Shore's decision makers have decided to supplement some groups dramatically with local funds while deciding that NSPA doesn't get the same treatment. NSPA members have been appointed the role of saving the district money through low pay and few hours. We ask that you look at the facts, these facts, and to reflect. Should NSPA continue to be treated worse than other district employees, or is it time for North Shore to partner with the women who perform this crucial work and to begin making the transition to fair pay and adequate hours? With more state funds coming, isn't it time to change an outdated employment model? We hope that these questions are being discussed by the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Rhonda Lynn?
President Quinn, if the people could not speak into the microphone so closely, I have trouble hearing what's being said. So, I can hear if you're back a bit. Thanks.
Hello. My name is Rhonda Lynn, and I'm going to speak to you today about my personal experience for NSPA. I'm a single mom and have been for 17 years. My children currently are 20 and 17 years old. I have worked for the district for 15 years. I chose to work for the district so I could be my children's parent. I have two bachelor's degrees that I'm not able to use to capacity. Also, I don't receive proper pay for my experience and knowledge when I am consulted. Over the years, as the essential things in life, rent, utilities, groceries, gas, health insurance, have increased, unfortunately, my salary has not. It's kept me in the poverty level that I'm in. This year, I received a small increase in pay, but my health insurance premiums took all of that increase and then some. I currently have the least expensive plan available to me. Therefore, I currently make less per month than I did last year. I also receive federal housing assistance, Section 8, and most of my check goes for my rent. So imagine where I would be living if I did not receive help with my rent. Prior to receiving Section 8, I was homeless for 4 years. For many years, I worked various part-time jobs and still to this day continue to work 4 different part-time jobs on top of the 8 hours I work for the district, just to afford the basic needs for my children and myself. I do not have a savings account, and I currently have a child in college. And, therefore I'm not able to save money now to be able to afford things that we need in life. I have been highly valued by many of my coworkers over the years who have asked me for my professional advice on difficult students in their classrooms. As a paraeducator, it is very heartbreaking to know that I've lived below poverty level as a professional. What does this say about how well we are valued? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rhonda. Catherine Graff.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Not too
thank
loud?
you.
Okay, good. Okay, my name is Catherine Graff, and I'm the school nurse at Fernwood Elementary. I've been working as a registered nurse for 32 years, this is my 14th year being a school nurse. This is my feedback. I have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and a Washington State School Nurse Certificate. I'm here to strongly urge you to consider increasing the rate of pay for nurses. When I left hospital nursing for school nursing, I took about a 25% hourly pay cut. And over the years, I've watched that gap increase. I have a friend that I've known since nursing school. She works in an outpatient hospital clinic and makes double the hourly wage that I make. So I'm grateful I have a husband with steady employment because it would be nearly impossible to support a family with my current income. We've lost several excellent nurses over the years who didn't want to leave but felt they had to leave in order to make more money. And we have a hard time keeping substitutes on the nursing substitute list because of that same reason. We have a looming nursing shortage nationally and in this area. Seattle has just posted that they're looking for 10 school nurse positions for next school year. Redmond posted that they're looking for several. Other districts in the area are going to be doing the same thing. And it's going to get harder and harder to find and keep good nurses. Add to that the comparatively low pay, and I really fear for the nursing service here at North Shore School District. Nurses have a unique perspective of students within the school setting. We are the students' advocate. We get to know them over the course of many years. We get to know their families. We consider their whole life experience, not just the hours that they're at school. And we work to make that experience better. We help them feel safe and be safe. We keep them strong and healthy. We make them better learners. Because it really is true that a child cannot learn if they're ill, hungry, anxious, in a violent home setting, afraid of a bully. I could go on, these situations. We need our North Shore nurses, and we need a higher hourly pay rate to recruit and keep them. I love my job. I love working at North Shore. I love the long-term relationship I get to have with students and families. And I really believe that I do make a difference in their lives. With retirement looming ahead, you know, I have seriously been considering looking for a nursing job where I can make more money. Thank you for your time and consideration. And please feel free to come and talk to me when you come visit our school next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Leslie Preston.
I'm Leslie Preston. I'm a paraeducator at Belleville High School. I've been a paraeducator with the school district for 14 years. I have 3 children, all of whom graduated from the district, and who are now in college. I'm here today to talk about the hours and the wages. Not enough hours and not enough wage. Currently, my youngest daughter goes to Washington State University, and the total cost of attendance at that university is way more than I earn in 1 year. I am lucky enough to have a husband with a steady income, but my income is also very essential to the proper functioning of our household. With 3 college-age kids, I'm sure I need to tell you, the money's just flying out the window. The thing that bothers me the most about only being able to work 4 hours, other than the salary or the lack of income, is that I leave school and I feel like I haven't had enough time with my students. I work in the Learning Center. These are our most vulnerable kids. They're at risk for not graduating, but yet the requirements keep being raised for them. The bar keeps getting higher and higher. And they come to me and say, can you stay after school and work with me? I need help. can we have a small group study session? After my professional hours are used up, I can't say no to these kids. I can't look at them and say, no, you've got to figure it out on your own. So I stay. And I work many, many hours during the week, every week, after school, after my regular hours with these kids, so that I can see them walk across the stage and get their diploma. To me, that's what breaks my heart most about it. I'm not a single mom. I don't have the same struggles that Rhonda talked about. But I know many of my colleagues do. I have a college degree. Most of the people I work with do as well. So I hope that you will take this seriously and make the changes that are necessary.
Thank you, Leslie. Karen Tarr.
For allowing me time to speak. I'm a full-time para in high school, and I have a master's degree in science. I appreciate my full-time compensation. It is basically necessary for maintaining my living expenses. Plus, I also do district tutoring also for maintaining my living expenses. I'm going to talk about compensation mainly through the role of my role as a paraeducator in the Learning Center at Inglemoor High School. Out of many benefits of IDEA, paraeducators as school employees are a hub of support for teachers, special ed, regular ed students, and school administrators. We perform multiple roles each given school day, or any given school day. IDEA levels the field in access to education. I'm very passionate about that. I'm certain that students I work with appreciate the support of an additional adult in the classroom. I'm certain of this. A student I work with daily in geometry told me that he needs skilled instruction, these are his words, for high school classes, and that he appreciates my support in reinforcing and in strengthening his understanding of geometry. He said that when it gets active, again, these are his words, when it gets active, it is good to have more than one skilled teacher in the classroom and more one-on-one instruction. I also know that special ed students I work with in inclusion classes appreciate having the support of an additional adult working in the classroom so that they have the accommodations they require to learn. I wish that students could take the mic and talk to all of you and could visit, and that you may be able to visit an entire day of our inclusion program. In 16 years, I have learned that learning disabilities are concrete, they are real. Students and teachers depend on paraeducators to provide access to learning every day and through the school day. We are a vital, highly skilled link to learning. My specialty is math, but we have all specialties: organization, behavior, language arts. We are all a vital link to students, parents, and teachers in a regular ed setting. Special ed students deserve to be in a rich learning environment that caters to their individual needs. They deserve consistent support throughout the school day. In inclusion, I see that regular ed students also benefit from classroom support. In inclusion, I see a rich environment where regular ed students benefit from, I'm sorry, I repeated myself. Okay, that's it, I have more, but.
You can give your comments to Cindy and she'll copy them and make sure that we get them and we will read them. Thank you. Michael Tipple?
I have a question for Karen. Karen,
Oh, I'm sorry.
which school are you at?
I'm at Inglemoor High School.
Okay, thank you.
Michael Tipple?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm a fairly new para and a one-on-one, and I came to this vocation through different reasons. Many years of being a master mechanic gave me arthritis, which led me to yoga. That was 20 years ago. At 45, I started teaching it, and especially right off the bat, I started to learn about special populations. And that became a specialty. So for many years, I've learned to work with people with all different diseases and different things. That's baby boomers for one, with arthritis like myself. You know, that said, my wife is an office manager in a junior high. And last year, she was with her principal, and they had a para interview. And all of a sudden, the bill went off. She said, "Mike, you need to look at this." Dad, one more little bullet point to all this, with my history and what led me to what I'm doing now, is my grandson was born with cerebral palsy. And of course, that turned my life around. What I found at the schools, last year was with junior high, my student is in a wheelchair full-time, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, Duchenne's, and he can't get out. Everything he needs assistance with pretty much just about everything except closing and writing. And so now all of a sudden I'm a paraeducator, because they couldn't probably find anybody, especially a male. But we got the job. And I was surprised how easy it was that I got on. And I have a degree, but certainly not in things that I would think would be really pertinent towards, I mean, I have life skills that seem to really have set me up in a good way for my job description. But here I'm working with a kid that is incredibly soft-spoken and introverted and does not want me there. And yet he needs me there. And after near the end of the school year, he was starting to actually talk to me in very minute sentences. I got quite a kick out of that. But anyway, so now here we are. We both graduated, and we're at Inglewood. And you know, like what Karen was talking about, I'm seeing this every day with other teachers, pairs that you know, they're faced with these issues of compensation, being covered by subs. Here recently, I had to go out on my own little medical adventure, and my student was not actually covered for some of the time. Part of the time he was, and I thought, oh great, this could be a piece of cake. But then halfway through it, he had no coverage. So other members of the LC that I'm with were able to pull together as I'm not surprised at all. I'm working with some great staff. And they helped him. My grandson, of course, with cerebral palsy was 6, and this year he actually had 1 year in the quick start to help kids like himself, and then kindergarten. He'll be doing summer school to catch up. He has some catching up to do, but he's doing great. With the substitutions, the pay is an issue. I won't go on any further. I know that I've lost my time. But we're here for a reason, and just look a little bit further. There's a lot to be seen behind the scenes. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Dana Dietz.
Hi, my name is Dana Dietz, and I'm a paraeducator at Bothell High School. I started being a paraeducator 3 years ago when I was hired on at Woodmore. I came to the district because I was passionate about my daughter who was already in the district, and she had an IEP. And for the people who really helped her be successful in the school, I just felt passionate to be a part of that system. And I was glad to get on at Woodmore. And never thought that I would enjoy the job as much as I did. And learn so much from my students, as well as how much I was impacting their lives. And so I am a single mom. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in Everett. It costs 50% of my income. I don't have any assets. I don't have any savings. Currently, I don't have a car since December 6th. The car was originally not even in my name. It was on loan to me by my church. And so, sorry, these are vulnerable things that I'm talking about. My gross income is $1,700 a month, and $500 to $600 of that goes to taxes and benefits. And I know currently minimum wage is at $9.47 an hour. At 8 hours in a month, gross would be $16.50, and that's only $50 less than what I'm making a month. My rent, gas, utilities, my phone, groceries, all my basic stuff is more than $1,500. That's more than my income as a para, so obviously I need to do other things. So I have 3 extra consistent jobs that I do, including coaching for Bothell High School. I also clean my church, and I do respite care, provide respite care and child care services for just to make my ends meet. I also have a 15-year-old sophomore, so just the added expenses, the surprises that come up occasionally, you know, it's just, sometimes it's a hardship. And just providing clothing can be really difficult. I would say that our jobs need a pay rate that is attractive to qualified professionals who are passionate and dedicated to education, who will stay because they are made to feel appreciated. Prior to coming to the district, I was a paramedic and I worked in the surgery department. And I've been told that my knowledge and experience and years as a paramedic and working in surgery were and our preferred qualifications why I originally received my job, which was a one-on-one for a student with cerebral palsy who had life-threatening seizures. And I had experience in taking care of that. But I don't think I was compensated for that knowledge and experience. I know what I am worth to my students. I'm their voice. I'm their advocate. I'm their eyes and ears, especially for those that are nonverbal. I am their trust and their safety shield protector. Students come to me in confidence and share things that they might not share with someone else. And I'm their motivator, biggest cheerleader. So I love to have fun with my kids. And I know what I'm worth to my team, my teachers, administrators, nurses, and even the lunch lady knows my value. I just hope that is made on paper.
Sorry, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
great, thank you. Patricia Malone.
I want to thank the school board for this chance to speak to you today. My name is Patricia Malone and I work as a paraeducator in the Learning Center at the Woodinville High School. This is my 6th year working with special education students. Prior to this, I worked 9 years as a paraeducator with North Shore's Elementary Advanced Program. Today, my purpose in speaking before the board is to discuss the needs of our special ed students and the daily frustration that I have in trying to meet their needs. I am hired as a 4-hour Learning Center paraeducator. The other 3 Learning Center paras at Woodinville High are also part-time 4-hour employees. We serve approximately 85 students who have various learning disabilities. In my 4-hour job, I assist in 2 general ed classes, which have a significant number of Learning Center students, as well as work with Learning Center students in 2 academic lab classes. I want to focus on academic labs. Academic labs are so critical to the student's success. It's where we work one-on-one with students on homework, research, projects, help them prepare for tests and to meet their IEP goals. It's in the academic lab class where I nurture a positive relationship with the students who struggle the most in school. It's a time when I reteach concepts in Algebra 2 and geometry that students fail to grasp in their general ed math classes, and where we solve math problems together. The students that I see in academic labs are not necessarily the students I see in the general ed classes. This mismatch is not due to any misguided scheduling on the part of my supervisor, but it's a result of my part-time status and the student schedules. If paraeducators were working the full day, then we would work with considerably more students, both in their general ed classes and in the academic labs. Unfortunately, there's a disparity in support when Learning Center paras work part-time. Right now in 6th period, there are 2 academic labs that do not have any paraeducator at all. And these classes have some of our most high-need students. Without full-time paraeducators, the Learning Center department head must make a difficult choice between placing a paraeducator in one of the students' general ed classes or in an academic lab. If I were a parent with a Learning Center student in 6th period academic lab, I would ask why my student doesn't have the support of a paraeducator while the student in the 1st period academic lab does. The academic lab class is more important than ever given the increasing standards and graduation requirements. The skill level and education needed for a Learning Center parent to be effective has sharply increased with the rise of educational standards. In order to attract and keep people with the level of education and skills needed to appropriately serve our struggling learners, the district must offer full-time Learning Center jobs. We need to support Learning Center students the entire day. Otherwise, we fail to give these students the support they need to be successful.
Thank you, Patricia. Kelly Vita.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Vita, and I'm a full-time special ed paraeducator at West Hill Elementary. I'm in my 7th year with the district, and this is my 1st year in special education. Before this year, I was a school assistant all at West Hill, working 20 hours a week, assisting in a gen ed split grade level classroom, and supervising 4 to 6 recesses daily. I thought that was challenging due to our daily schedule of constantly going back and forth between recess and classroom with no extra time to record or resolve recess infractions or review and collaborate curriculum with the teacher. I'm here to tell you today that being a school assistant was a walk in the park compared to a full-time special ed para, and we should not be on the same salary schedule as them. I'd like to take you through one of our typical days. From the moment our students arrive, we are constantly praising, prompting, giving choices, redirecting, de-escalating, diffusing, and problem-solving while staying calm and modeling appropriate behavior. It's all hands on deck when one student has a meltdown, many times causing another student to escalate as well. We're not able to check our school email in the classroom. We do that at lunch on our smartphones. A few times each week, we don't get our scheduled 15-minute breaks. So we use our professional hours for that because we're already underpaid. I'm sorry about that, Craig. And we're not going to work for free. From the beginning of the year through mid-November, we had a student that would bite, scratch, hit, and kick us daily. We had to request to take right response training because it wasn't offered to us originally. We had no formal training on how to restrain and escort an unsafe student until that class. I have suffered some hearing loss this year due to another student who constantly screams during transitions. I've lost count of how many times I've seen a posting this year for para at Hollywood Hill Elementary. I'm a college graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree, and currently I'm on the PACE board at one of my son's schools. I've served on our local PTA board, and last year I was North Shore Council PTSA's Community Awards Recognition Chair. I'm a valued, respected member of our community, but I'm not paid a respectable wage. If I was a single parent, I wouldn't be able to support my family on this wage, and I would have to find another job. It's time to take a serious look at the salary scale and pay us a respectable wage. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Pam Francois.
Good afternoon. My name is Pam Francois. I teach at Hollywood Hill Elementary. I am in charge of the early childhood program there, which includes 2 preschool classes that meet 2 times a week and 2 pre-K classes that meet 3 times a week. That totals approximately between 40 and 45 children that I see every couple of days. I have been with the school district for 25 years, and needless to say, not having any increases in my wages, I basically take a cut in pay every year. My responsibilities are huge. I oversee a para myself, who is my assistant. But I'm on the same scale, and I've topped out. Topping out sounds great, doesn't it? Till you see what the top is, and then it's not so great anymore. And it's really sad that every year I am paid less and less. We are aware that early childhood is very important. It's finally getting its day, and I love what I do. I absolutely feel like I have the best job in the world. It is my career. It isn't an extra job. It isn't a few coffee pennies. It is my career. I have been a career early childhood teacher for many, many years. I want to continue doing that, but I would love to feel like I was actually needed and compensated correctly for the job I do. Basically, I am doing a teacher's job for para wages. And that is one thing, but getting stuck and not having any increases just makes it so much worse. So I would just ask that you consider that we improve the rate scales, possibly take the top off or move the top up. When you've been in here for 25 years, it seems like everybody else is moving forward, but I'm not. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Pam. Deborah Galassi.
Good afternoon, board. My name is Deborah Galassi. I am a paraeducator working in the North Shore School District of New Orleans Elementary School. Prior to coming to North Shore, I worked as I still do part-time in the home repair business and painting business. I spent time in the Naval Air Reserves. I'm happy to say I'm an honorably discharged Naval Air Reservist. I worked in Intel. I also have an associate's degree in arts and science, and I have some background in criminal justice. I have a lot to bring to this. I spent time also as a finished carpenter, and I'm a fine art photographer. I entered paraeducating looking to work with teachers and children, and I find this work to be stimulating and rewarding. But I also needed medical benefits in order to take care of my health. The problem is, I only make $16.43 an hour. I work a 6.5-hour day, which is actually not true. I probably put in a lot more than that on a daily basis, as many of us do. That's the maximum allowed for paraeducators. I've already topped out my professional hours. They're starting to use pool hours now to compensate the 15 minutes, half an hour, meetings here, meetings there. But that is considered the full-time wage in many of the districts. And that means my gross pay is about $1,700 a month. And my monthly take-home pay after all deductions comes to about $1,280 a month. And you heard that right. I only take $1,280 home a month. Yes, I'm a single woman, and I support myself as do many of my coworkers, some of who have families to support and mortgages to pay. But obviously, I can't live on $1,280 a month. I'm lucky. I own my own home, which on my property taxes do pay probably some of your wages, as well as my own wage. So I own my own home. That helps. I don't have the mortgage, but obviously I can't live on that amount of money. Still, my paycheck doesn't cover my basic expenses. So every month I have to dip into my retirement savings. And I have no choice but to keep working as long as my health holds out. Initially, I assumed that this job, because of its low pay, would be relatively easy. And I thought I'd have the time and energy to work a second job, and I try and do that as often as I can, on weekends in particular. But I'm required, I found, to do far more than I initially was hired to do. And I noticed the list keeps growing. So, and especially as I'm a part of a new special ed program that is being created as we speak. So in addition, I thought the truth of the matter is paraeducators and other school staff Support staff are not compensated equitably compared with similar